Good afternoon, fourth grade scientists. It's Mrs. Drum again for another lesson in earth science. Today we are going to talk about minerals, rocks, and soil. Don't forget to turn to page 20 in your notes packet. Remember that you can pause the video at any time to write down the words or phrases in your notes. The words or phrases that you will need to write down are in a different color from the rest of the slide. Are you ready to get started? Let's go. By the end of today's lesson, you will be able to define mineral, luster, hardness, sedimentary rock, igneous rock, metamorphic rock, topsoil, sand, and clay. You will also be able to identify properties of minerals, types of rock, and examples of soil. The rocks that make up many of the landforms on the earth may have different colors and shapes. All of these rocks are alike in one way. They are made up of one or more minerals. So what are minerals? A mineral is non-living solid matter from the earth. Diamonds, rubies, and gold are all examples of minerals. Imagine, there are places on the earth where you can dig up minerals such as gems and metals. Identifying minerals. There are three main physical properties that people use to identify minerals. They are luster, hardness, and color. A physical property is what a mineral looks and feels like. Luster is the way a mineral reflects light or how shiny the mineral is. Gold is an example of a mineral that has a lot of luster. Hardness is tested by rubbing a mineral against another mineral. In other words, hardness is determined when scratching the minerals. A diamond is the hardest mineral. It will scratch any other material. Minerals come in several different colors. Some have more than one color, and some can even change colors. Therefore, color cannot always be used to identify a mineral. Let's talk about rocks and the rock cycle. You might think that all rocks are alike, but rocks form in different ways. Some rocks form deep inside the earth. Other rocks are formed at the bottom of lakes and oceans. There are three types of rocks: igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic. Igneous rocks are made from magma that cools beneath the Earth's surface. Granite is an example of an igneous rock. Mount Rushmore was actually carved from granite. Sedimentary rocks are formed when tiny sediments or pieces of other rocks, shells, sand, and other materials. They are formed at the bottoms of lakes and oceans. These sediments are carried into lakes and oceans by rivers and streams. The sediments sink to the bottom of the water and are pressed and cemented tightly together. After many years, rocks are formed. Fossils are formed in sedimentary rocks. Heat from deep in the earth and pressure of rocks above the earth change igneous and sedimentary rocks into metamorphic rock. Limestone, a sedimentary rock, is changed to a metamorphic rock called marble. Many statues are made from marble. Here is the rock cycle. I am your guide on the journey around the rock cycle. The rock cycle is a continuous process that occurs over millions of years. It makes new rock, destroys old rock, and recycles the ingredients of the Earth's crust over and over again. Here you will find a diagram of the rock cycle. It may look confusing, but we will learn about each stage separately. Stage 1 is weathering. Oh no, the rock is breaking up. That's right, it doesn't look good. It's weathering away fast. All rocks on the Earth's surface weather, though some weather faster than others. 3 different forces work together to break up rocks into smaller pieces. Water freezing in the cracks of rocks, causing the crack to get bigger and eventually break apart. Acid rain can dissolve rocks over time. Tree roots can force themselves into small cracks in rocks and eventually break them apart. Stage 2 is erosion. Now it's being swept off its feet. Yep, now that it has weathered into smaller pieces, it is easy for it to be moved around. Erosion is when bits and pieces of weathered rock are moved by forces such as gravity, like rolling, wind, water, and ice. Stage 3 is deposition. Particles of rock cannot be transported forever. Rivers reach the sea, the wind stops blowing, and glaciers melt. They dump the load of particles they were carrying. This process is called deposition. During deposition, particles of rock are laid down in layers. Heavier particles are normally dumped first and then covered by smaller particles and material. Layers of sediment build up over time. Stage 4 is compaction. The layers of sediment are squeezed together and any water mixed in with them is forced out. This process is called compaction. At the same time, the particles of sediment begin to stick to each other. They are cemented together by clay or by other minerals. Stage 5 is metamorphism. Deep within the Earth's crust, rocks can be put under huge pressures and temperatures are very high. These conditions can cause the minerals in the rock to change. This process is called metamorphism. Limestone can change into marble, shale and mudstones into slate, and igneous rocks like granite can turn into gneiss. Stage 6, melting. It can get quite hot deep in the Earth's crust. In fact, it can get so hot that the rocks that make up the crust can actually begin to melt. This molten material is called magma. It is less dense than the surrounding rock, so it tends to move upwards through the crust. Stage 7 is extrusion. Sometimes magma can force itself through a crack or fault in the rock at the Earth's surface. It pours out over the Earth's surface in a volcanic eruption. This process is called extrusion. The rocks that form from extruded magma are called extrusive igneous rocks. Now we are going to talk about soil. Make sure you are turned to page 30 in your notes packet. Soil is formed over years of weathering and of rocks and minerals and decaying of dead plants and animals. Once living matter that has been broken down by decomposers is known as humus. This affects the color and feel of soil. Examples of soil, there are actually 3 of them, and they are sand, clay, and topsoil. Sand does not hold water well. It is loose and has large grains. Have you ever been to the beach before? And have you ever tried to make a sand castle and then the tide comes in and it ruins your sand castle? That is because the sand does not hold the water well. Clay has smooth, fine, tightly packed grains. It is rich in nutrients, and clay can hold a lot of water. Topsoil is dark because it has a lot of humus. It is rich in nutrients, and it can hold water well. Well, that is it for our lesson on minerals, rocks, and soil. Your assignment is to complete page 31 in your notes packet independently. Make sure your name is on it and you can tear it out and turn it into the turn-in tray when you're finished. If you need help, please look back in your notes or you can watch parts of the video again. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.